for you for the Off the Board series. I'm just showing you there what my inspiration is going to be for this layout. It's that layout that I found. It's absolutely stunning. It's by Zelda Smith, and it just stood out to me right away, and I thought, how fun is it? It's such a kind of basic design, and you can just do so much with it, and hers is gorgeous. It's really, really stunning. So I don't think mine quite does it justice, but I really had a ton of fun, and I love the way that mine turned out. And Off the Board is a series that was started by Crystal from Pineapple Papers. So if you haven't had an opportunity to check it out and see what it's all about, Crystal started it a couple of years ago. She actually did 30 days where each day she went through her Pinterest boards and picked inspiration from them, kind of in an attempt to get some of those pins used up. You know, we all just kind of keep pinning things and we're collecting things in this virtual Pinterest board. And not everyone uses everything that they pin. So this was really just a way for her to kind of pull out some of those things that she had been pinning over the years and use them by being inspired by them. So it's gone on now for a couple of years and lots of people have joined in. It's so much fun. It's really, really interesting to see where people get the inspiration from and how they interpret it. And I do like to do a lot of scrap lifting, but I also really enjoy pinning sketches and sometimes using pins that have nothing to do with scrapbooking. That's actually more fun, I think, almost, because you really kind of have to think outside of the box and pick out certain things that inspire you and then translate them on paper. So it's a really fun series. You should definitely check it out. So since my kit for the month of February has a really heavy Valentine's theme to it, and it's lots of pinks and reds and the occasional pop of other colors like black and teal and mint and stuff, I thought it would be fun to take that same design and use hearts instead of the flowers. And I'm going to do it on a white background instead of a black background just to kind of switch it up a bit. I really definitely think that it's that black background with the rainbow colors that kind of just burst off the page that attract your eye to Zelda's layout. But I thought for this one, it's a picture of me and my hubby way back when we first were dating, going to his prom, I think. And so I just thought it would be kind of fun to do a little bit more delicate. And so having a white background kind of makes the reds and the pinks just look a little more dainty, I guess you could say, and kind of pretty, and it's not a Valentine's photo, but kind of Valentine's-y. But I still wanted those pops of black because that definitely is what makes these colors just really stand out. So I'm going to go ahead and paint a whole bunch of wood veneer. I didn't want to have a bunch of different textured hearts. I've kind of done that, and I've done the layered paper hearts this month too. So I thought I would go ahead and just paint a whole bunch of these wood veneer in different colors. I kind of like the way that the watercolors absorb differently on each piece of wood. So you can see even here the way that the light is catching. The one heart kind of has a line through it where it didn't really absorb the same way it did in the rest of the heart. So the wood really is fun to play with because even if you're using just one watercolor, just one, color of pink or whatever it might be, you're going to get a lot of different textures and tones and stuff that come out of the paints. And depending on how watered down you have it, you can really get anything from a nice solid color to more of a whitewash or a pink wash color. So I went ahead and just did a whole bunch of big hearts, medium hearts, and small ones. And I got this pack from Dollarama. It came with, I think, 200 hearts. Yeah, it's a pretty big pack. So I just painted a whole bunch, and I figured if I didn't use them all up, they can go back into the package, and I'll get to them eventually. So I went ahead and cut 2 strips off of my white background. I know I probably could have just cut a extra thick strip off of one end of it, but for some reason in my head it just made more sense to cut a strip from the top and the bottom. I don't know why. Do you ever do stuff like that and then when you put it together you realize that there was a better way? Anyways, I wanted to cut it freehand instead of using the paper trimmer because I knew I wanted to do some sort of ripped or folded edge to give mine a little bit of extra texture. I do really like the way that Zelda stitched across hers, but I wanted to do something just a little bit different to kind of add my own little personal touch to it. And so I took the very background paper that has those little slides or paint swatches, and that's what I used for my rainbow. And I just took my white paper, plopped it down on top so that a little bit of the colors were showing on each end, and then I folded the edge so that there's just a little bit of texture. It kind of has a little bit of movement to it, and it's not just perfectly straight right across. And eventually I'm going to do something else with that too, just to give it a little extra detail there. And then I decided that I actually wanted to keep some of that paper. It's the only piece I have left in my 12 by 12 paper pad, so I went ahead and cut a huge chunk out of the center, so it's really just those two strips at the top and the bottom. And I kind of like the way that they just peek out that way. Instead of looking like they've been sewn together or kind of butted together, now the paper looks like it's actually just peeking out from behind the white background. So once that was all stuck together, now I'm just layering up my wood veneer, and some of them are flat on the paper, and then I have sort of two layers of them. So in some spots I've had to take my little foam squares and double them up just so that that very top layer can kind of sit and not get smushed too much. And really, I didn't have a plan for this. I just kind of stuck them wherever I thought they would go. I tried to mix up the colors the best that I could and have just little touches of black kind of dotted within there too. It just, again, makes that pink and that red really pop nicely. So, and I'm trying my best not to let my little section get carried away. I kind of wanted it to be the same width as the photo and not be all over the page. And to make my photo stand out a little bit more, I matted it with some of the other papers from the Hello Love collection, just the scraps of papers that I have, and then put some black cardstock as the very last mat so that it really stood out as the focal point of the page. Now with all those kind of awkward little gaps that were left from the hearts, I'm putting these little flat back pearls that I got from BB Craft in just a dark pink and a light pink. And then I'm going to add a couple little black ones in there and then some white ones as well. And I think obviously if you're doing flowers look really nice when they're all layered up, so you wouldn't have those little gaps where the background paper is showing. But in order to make sure that your eye could really tell that these were hearts and that they were all piled up, I didn't want to have everything completely covered. So I do kind of like how this is just a different take on making those layers. And I don't mind that there's little pieces of the background kind of showing, but if you wanted to put some watercolor in behind there, do maybe a smushing technique, or just maybe do a combination of paper or stickers and then the wood veneer on top, you wouldn't have all of those little white spaces if you didn't want to have them. And then for the finishing touches, I went back to that Maggie Holmes sticker book and just pulled out a couple of the little gold hearts. I just kind of wanted that little bit of shine mixed in with all of the wood veneer. And then the flat back pearls kind of have almost like a metallic look to them. So the gold is just a different element, a different texture. It catches the light in a different way. And then there were some kind of really, really soft, pale pink hearts that I put in there too, just to bring in some of the pale color that you see in the Hello Love collection. You can see that the top and the bottom strips that I have there, They're more on the pastel side. They're a little bit softer and very crepe paper. And so I wanted a little bit of that softness in the clusters of hearts as well. And then I also found my title. So I went ahead and pulled out that clear sticker that says love. And then with the gold letters, I just put the word young. So it says young love. Oh, way back when. That was like 22 years ago, if you can believe it. Yeah, 22 years ago. Wow. Long time ago. And then when I was all done that, I can't ever leave well enough alone. I think, you know what? It's just me and I embrace it. Um, I wanted to fill in a little bit of that white space. I do really love that I left a lot of that background white, but I needed to add just a little something. So I went ahead and ripped those two little sections, and I kind of wanted them mostly around the photo. So I strategically kind of placed the rips a little bit off center, but above and below the photo. So that, again, that kind of brings the focus back into the picture. It's almost like, little arrows that are pointing to the picture. And then I added a couple of the wood veneer hearts to each little section. And a couple of the flat back pearls, a dark pink, a light pink, and a white, and then a few little scatters of my black Recollections spray mist. And that is my layout for this month for Off the Board. It was so much fun to put together. I love painting those hearts. It was very relaxing. I could do that forever and ever. Please check out the links below for everyone else who was inspired by their Pinterest boards today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And until next time, happy scrapping. Bye.